But I wanted to get Ted on because this is things he was on 10 years ago talking about naked short going on against gold and silver to artificially drive down the price. He was on breaking down universities and governments hoarding gold while having, tungsten-coated gold bars. He was talking about Germany wanting its gold back before it was in the news. He has a lot of top sources. He's in the top 10 gold companies in the United States, probably the top 5. So he has a lot of inside baseball sources. And I just wanted to get him on. China wants its gold back from the U.S. Bloomberg reports Texas has asked for its gold back, saying they believe the government could collapse and that the Federal Reserve's private and that they don't trust it being there. The governor basically said, hey, listen, Texas is unique, it's stable, it's strong, and we can show that by letting our states and individuals know this, yes, Texas has $1 billion worth of gold. Does your state have $1 billion worth of gold? So it's definitely a move against the globalists. Germany wants their gold back. Bloomberg reports they won't give it back. The gold now getting released is covered it's covered in gold, but it's tungsten. Ron Paul says the stock market day of reckoning is near. So all of this is happening, and I haven't really plugged gold in about 2 years because I've had the guest on, and it's come out just like interest rates and currency rates are staged. It's been in the news. And just like it's come out that home loans have been rigged at the central bank level. It's all rigged. Even the Rolling Stone reports that. London Guardian reports that. And yes, now they admit that the big banks have been naked shorting, putting paper in the market as physical gold, selling it for prices way below what it's worth, but never actually selling the gold to drive down the price. It'd be like if people started selling Ferraris, the $1.5 million, 1,000 horsepower Ferrari for $10,000.
The Enzo.
Or the Enzo. If they started selling it for $10,000, suddenly you'd see the market on Ferraris go from $1.5 million for the top Ferrari down to $500,000. Now, no real Ferraris were sold for $10,000. But if the market started doing that, it would drive down the price. This is the game they play while they're busy hoarding it. Universities around the world are getting billions in gold. UT holds several billion that they just got. But I've been quietly buying a few coins here, some silver there, while the price has been lower. Used to be 300, went up to 2,000, gone down to 1,200 or whatever. Doesn't matter. I hold it as an emergency backup. But I believe now is the time to get back into gold and silver, and the safest time for me to be able to promote it and really feel like it's going to be going back up. I've always known it will, because this thing will come down at some point. Even if there's a depression in real assets, it'll come back up down the road for long-term holders. But now I feel safe, after 2 years of not promoting it, to have Ted back on, and he didn't even ask to come on. I just said, I think we ought to get Ted on to plug some gold and silver, but that'll be 2 minutes at the end of the talk here in like 10, 15 minutes. I've had him on hold for 15, I apologize. Ted, I'm kind of ranting, making your case here for you, but what do you make of Texas and others wanting their gold back? All this other behavior we see, runs on banks in Greece, similar regulations coming in, the Fed's announcing internal passports to travel next year. I mean, this is crazy.
Well, you're right about that, Alex. I can tell you what, the reason why Texas wants to get their gold back is because they don't trust the Federal Reserve System to hold it for them, and I don't blame them. I wouldn't have them do it either. Even with Greece falling apart and everything that's happening in the United States, Puerto Rico trying to file bankruptcy, you would think gold would be going up right now. Obviously, there's manipulation. Obviously, the Fed would like to see people stay on the paper assets. The Dow Jones Industrial Average has been skyrocketing. Gold has been the loser for the last couple of years. But fundamentally, you would think that it would be going up like crazy. In 2008, 2009, Greece falling apart like it has, we'd have gold shooting up like a rocket. Right now, Janet Yellen is wondering, well, do we raise interest rates yet? Maybe we should wait till people get better, wage increases should come out first. It's a big manipulative game, and that's why people in Texas want to get their gold home rather than having it stored over there. The bottom line is that, when the house of cards falls apart, like Ron Paul was talking about, when everything falls apart, it's the United States debt, it's the national debt, it's the world debt. I mean, I don't know.
County, city, state, local, private, it is a hellstorm of debt. The world's never seen anything close to this.
I know, it's just amazing. I mean, I don't know. I went back I haven't looked at this in a long time. I'm looking at the national debt clock online, and this thing is ticking away. It looks like a time bomb ready to go off. It looks like a science fiction film or something out of James Bond.
Well, we are in a science fiction movie.
That's the whole thing, Alex. So how in the world can we expect to see no problems, no catastrophe, no
Well, everywhere else, hell is breaking loose. That's the thing, and we're still here thinking everything's fine. But as Ron Paul said 30 minutes ago, we're really in a depression. Every indicator shows a depression.
And yet still, here we are looking at $1,165.50 gold. It's down $3.80. I have the feeling if they took a U.S. Eagle and strapped jet rockets on it and lit it off, that thing wouldn't make it off the ground. It just can't be pushed upward. It's
but meanwhile, the elites are buying it faster than ever. That's even admitted, as now Spain tries to ban physical holding of gold. Well, we know what happened during the Great Depression. First they banned it, and a year later increased the price. Explain how this works, Ted.
Well, that's what they did. Of course, they even did that in 1933. When they confiscated gold from the United States citizens in 1933, they did it at $26 an ounce. They raised it to $36 the year afterwards. When they take gold away, see, they have the ability to manipulate the gold prices. They can quietly buy the gold prices, keep the interest rates low, make equities look really attractive. Meanwhile, while they're quietly sopping up all the precious metals for their own ownership, then things break loose. All of a sudden, the prices start to go up. I mean, you even see Warren Buffett getting into silver and gold at this time. And I just need to say, this reminds me of like 1982 and the year 2006, when we had gold trading at about $250 an ounce. Silver was trading just right around $350, and all of a sudden it starts to go up from there. But for some reason, while the market is down like this, it's almost impossible to convince people to get in. But here we are sitting here after inflationary dollars. We're looking at the same pricing, and people should be getting involved in the market while it's soft like this. You bet when the market starts to rise and everything starts to run, the quantities and the supply of what's available in the marketplace is going to dry up. Premiums are going to explode again. And
well, Ted, you know, because I bought all my gold from you because you have the best prices out there from my experience, just as an average basis. I don't call you when gold's going up buying gold. I call you now when it's low. And that's what I'm doing now. And people just do not listen to the common sense. At least most of them don't. All the indicators are that it's almost impossible for them to keep holding down gold and silver.
This is an American president. Just add puppet, then vote and repeat every 4 years.
It's crazy. I'm talking to Ted Anderson here, owner of the GCN Radio Network that you're listening to right now. He also owns Midas Resources. Classic case of a kid who started right out of high school working at a gold and silver company and then starting his own, now one of the most successful in the world because of low prices and good service, MidasResources.com. And I'm going to do a brief plug here for a gold and silver special and some other stuff that's a great deal today. Just very briefly here, because I don't expect people to actually do the smart thing for whatever reason and buy at what I believe is the bottom of the market when we know they're manipulating it down, when we know the paper's so dangerous. I expect people, though, to remember this fall when it starts racing up. I believe it will. Not a prediction. It's just what I believe. And if they can continue to suppress it, I'll be surprised. But regardless, I'm not just going to be all in paper and all in stuff they can take and grab out of my bank account. I've got to be able to go to a safety deposit box, go wherever, cash some stuff in, and meet payroll if I have to. This cashless society is about total control, and everything we warn people about is now starting to happen. I mean, Ted, it's scary to see Greeks having their bank account money kept, and they can only get out. First, it was 66 euros a day. Now it's 100 a month. And then they started holding Americans and Europeans' money that they paid into PayPal and other systems. Central banks started taking the money from the resorts and just stealing people's money. Did you see that in the news yesterday? As a punishment to Greece. It shows how these mega banks are completely criminal and will do anything.
And they're trying to push around Greece because they want their way. They want them to stay in the European Union. They want them to continue on making their debt payments. which just enslaves the people. The people are saying, no, we want to get away from this system. And it's a tug of war. It's a fight. And it's going to be, God knows what the end result is going to be. It could be a war even, you know. It's just ridiculous what these banks will do in order to keep control of a country and the people that they serve. It's just amazing.
But exactly. And now the TSA announces a national ID card through your state driver's license. If your state doesn't adopt it, you won't be able to fly next year. That's an internal passport. We knew that was coming. They're talking about not letting us have cash here. IMF orders U.S. tour operators to withhold payments to Greek hotels. Boom. People go. That's a Paul Watson article. You go buy your trip, and then the tour operator's told, don't pay it to the Greek hotels. I mean, that's what they tried on Iceland, Ted.
But you know, you shouldn't be surprised by this because this stuff has been going on for years. You're going to have manipulation. You're going to have forced manipulation. And when you take a look at what the central banks did, even in World War II, by supporting Hitler and also supporting the European countries that were being attacked.
It's crazy.
I mean, you know, it gets beyond the pale here. There's no question about it. And Ron Paul talks about liberty. I mean, my God, you want to have liberty, get away from their currency. That's the answer.
I agree.
Get
Ted,
away from their currency.
I'm going to hold you for 5 more minutes, but you told me you'd have something really special today for listeners who call 800-686-2237. What is it?
Buy the recognizable, tradable items like the old dimes. They're trading for $2,055 per bag of 1,000. Walking Liberty halves are $1,105 right now. There's a lot of things that you can get into, but you need to have something that's recognizable and something that can be used as money.
So you've got the old silver dimes. That's an amazing deal. You've got Walking Liberties. You've got a lot of stuff when folks call 800-686-2237. Ted Anderson, owner of GCNlive.com, is our guest. Ted, let's just finish up with a little pitch for folks for gold and silver. When they do buy it from you, they get a good price, good service, and it helps the whole network and the rest of it. But, I mean, I really got you on today to talk about how surreal it is, for me at least. I want to get your take, to watch Texas and all these universities cashing in cash and getting gold, like UT, Harvard, you name it. Berkeley, other governments, the Chinese government, they're all hoarding gold while telling people you don't need gold and silver. I mean, I don't see them being able to suppress the price forever. And I just go with my gut. I think I've had you on once in 2 years, and I had you on just as a guest. I've had you on about other news and radio a few times. But I just have a gut feeling. Maybe I'm wrong, because they could come up with some new manipulation. I just don't know how they're going to suppress gold prices while the elites themselves are gobbling it all up. Ted?
Well, I mean, truth be told, I suppose we have a couple of more months where things are going to piddle around where it is right now. I would suspect that we'll have prices go up like it usually does in the fall. However, the last couple of falls, it hadn't happened. We did have quite a bull market, and the bear market swing came along, but you go through that cycle, and now we're sitting here at the bottom side of the market. There's so many problems that are out there. We are going to have continued problems in the future, and you take a look at that debt clock, you look at what's going on in Europe, you look at what's going on here in the United States, and like you're saying, UT, the state of Texas, all these different places, you know, Warren Buffett, for one, the central banks. Why would the central banks be buying gold when they're not, when it's their own currency that they can have for free? The reason why they're doing that is because they know that there's no value in their money. And as the debt rises,
sure,
the supply of money increases. It drives the value of their paper down. It just does.
Well, Ted, I don't know if this is going to happen, but I've always been told this by top folks. It's been proposed at Davos, you know that. But now they're starting to float a global SDR, strategic drawing right. That's how when I ship packages overseas with USPS, it's already denominated in SDRs. They admit they want to have 10% to 30% gold-backed or a spectrum of metals-backed global new currency when the dollar and others go down. You'll still have dollars, you'll still have yens, euros, but they'll be tied to that global unified SDR. And when that happens, gold's going to go up like a rocket, and the elites will be positioned with it. What's your intel on that?
Well, isn't it just enough to hear that when the dollar drops in value, they'll have something that holds more value? That strategy alone should put people into precious metals, or at least make them think twice about it. I get it. The Dow Jones Industrial Average has been running up. It's hard to get out of that market when you're making money. It's tough. It's really hard to sell something that's up and making you money. You want to stay with it. And you definitely do not want to move into something that has not been produced.
But you don't want to get left with a hand grenade when they're passing it around.
Exactly. Well, if you can get out of the Dow Jones Industrial Average, even take 10% out of that market and move into precious metals that's down right now, I mean, all of the newsletter writers and the forecasters and the people that are experts are saying you have to diversify in this way. It's called balancing your portfolio.
The ultimate you-know-what storm is here. I mean, Ted, how much crazier can it get? How much bigger can the bubble get till it pops? I mean, it is ginormous.
I know, and it already baffles me that it is where it is. But here you have Yellen talking about raising the interest rates, and she knows that her back is up against the wall. Interest rates go up, the United States debt goes crazy, we can't afford it no more, things collapse. That's the bottom line.
And then what happens to gold? I mean, some argue it'll drive it down because of a depression, but if the currency is being devalued, it would go up. I mean, it just... Bottom line, when you don't know what's going to happen, you need to have a basket of things so that something goes up, something goes down. You're not left with your butt hanging out. You don't want to be a one-crop economy in the stock market, folks. Midas Resources, 800-686-2237.